Fighting hard, family torn apart. Whispers tearing lives, hearts raw scarred. Judges grinning, deals in shadows locked. Caseworkers speaking truth they've mocked. Gunning on for justice, rage intense. Bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. CPS stealing kids, no trace. Lies build walls, the truth they erase. Gunners howl, cuts through the air. He won't stop midnight, he'll get there. Dark hallways where the guilty play. Secrets hiding, hope fades away. A man with fire, voice like a storm. Breaking chains, reform, transform. Gunning on for justice, rage intense. Bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies, light ablaze. Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies, light ablaze. Behind their maps.
Hey look, this for every mama got her baby snatched on some bogus shit. For every pops they locked out the crib like he ain't blood. CPS, y'all been eating off pain for too long. We know what you on, but now it's war, this gunning foe, CPS. Kick doors, no warrants, they taking our seeds. Say it's neglect, but they planting they greed. Feds in they pocket, judge got a fee. Run it like a business, adoption spree. Contracts overseas, got partners in France. But shorty from Shy, he ain't get a chance. Mama work 2 jobs, daddy do right, but they still snatch his baby in the middle of the night. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's Suffer Davis popping and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They labeled us monsters, called us unfit, but it's they paperwork dirty, all of it forged and flipped. How the fuck they selling babies to a bidder overseas? Then tell the fam you unworthy. Man, please, we got mamas in pain, daddies in tears. They breaking our hearts, been doing it for years. Now we riding with Gunner, and we got the proof, sworn under oath. Now it's time for truth. Trump got the team and the pen in his hand. He said bring them home, now that's the plan. You feds been hiding, but it's over now. We moving like an army, and we ain't bowing down. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's off of Davis popping, and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They ain't gods, they ain't law, they just people, corrupt people. And when the people rise, ain't no system safe. The Chi-Town, it's the movement. We gunning for CPS, and we coming heavy. Yeah. Wait.
On stage, because by law they have to provide, the feds and the state have to provide funding to support that child.
Right. Okay. And if the child's not removed, then you would only get CWS funding. It's like a non-removal proceeding.
Yeah, that has little impact on that.
Okay. So you only get funded for 18 months of reunification efforts.
Right.
And funding at the initial removal. Yes.
Yes.
Then there's also going to be a piece of funding for the CWS overhead associated with that. Yes.
Yes.
And then there's going to be, when we move into family maintenance / reunification, there'll be funding for that effort for the first 18 months.
Yes.
And then if reunification is unsuccessful, we'll go to permanency planning.
Yes.
And there will be another bolus of funding for that.
Generally speaking, yes.
Now, if a child goes off to adoption, for example, there's another bolus of funding that comes in for
that's
that.
adoptions funding, yes.
And that also has a state and federal component.
Yes.
And part of that funding, a portion of that goes to the general overhead of the agency, correct?
Yes.
And then a part of it would go to actually fund the foster placement.
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Gunning for CPS. I'm your host, Gunner. Thought we'd start things off a little bit here of, they're actually testifying under oath in several places when they're being deposed and having to come forward with those truths. Why? Because it's part of their duties to understand those particular things, especially directors of CPSs and statewide process. They're to understand the whole inner workings. Which is why it makes them very nervous when people get them on the stand and ask those particular questions to get them to answer in their official capacity, which means during the point of their job or what they were doing officially, what they feel can be covered, or not covered. And that's a huge thing. But did you hear the amount of bonuses and everything else that they admitted to? It's not a joke. Those things, guys. I want to welcome you guys, and you guys can welcome. If you guys don't know about Claire Connor, she's here joining us on Facebook. If you guys haven't heard the stuff that she's been going on, this is where we like to get a lot of positive reinforcement from good news of people winning their cases and or really kicking ass in their cases. And Claire has done just that. She works with a couple others that are part of the network, so on and so forth, and just in that fight, man. And that's what we have to do, is encourage each other to educate ourselves, get that knowledge particular to our case, and learn how to fight and hold them accountable and understand they can't get away with things. When you turn the focus away from the argument they want to have and you direct the conversation and take control of that conversation and ask them of what their job requirements are out there, and exposing them. Wait a minute, under this code, weren't you supposed to do this? Under your own handbook, weren't you supposed to do this? Was this done? Was this done? Was this done? Hey, did you do this? Now you get it even deeper beyond CPS and you get into the legal system. Hey, Your Honor, there's only so much in here that you can take and do. And there's sometimes, no matter what you do or say, they're going to railroad you. And this is why it's so important, guys. Take notes. because it's about you're now collecting evidence along the way from the time you end and the time CPS enters your life, all the way into the court system, everything else. You are collecting evidence, whether you know it or not. Something's just not going to feel right, or this or that. And those questions, if you ask them right, they will drive you towards the answers of saying, hey, that just didn't seem right. That just didn't set right. And it depends on your understanding of those things. Or you'll begin to do research, go down those rabbit holes and everything else, and then turn around and go, oh, God, wait, that happened to me. And it happens all the time. But and they're so good at this. Now, I wanted to show you guys, this was something I had posted once before, is this was earlier this year. Okay. This is on child welfare leader stunned by Trump's call to free social services spending. Legal action quickly threatened. You know, oh, how dare you go after our money and this and that? Why? Because it impacts too many families and it does so much this. Look, and they put all this stuff on. And this is their argument of saying, I think a lot of people miss this though, is look at the argument they had to stand up against it and saying, no, you can't do this. Why? It's not about protecting children. And you just saw the other video where they testified. It's about their fucking money. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's hitting those bonuses to make more money. It's a profitable thing. Government is not supposed to profit. We, the people, are supposed to profit, not the government. Because we, the people, are the government. See, there's the misconception. We're supposed to hold the wealth. The wealth is supposed to be within the people, not the organizations. That's the way our constitutional republic was set up. And they're not telling you that. And that's the biggest thing. But listen, it goes through here. Look, stealing that advocates for the poor nationwide. Oh, there's your bleeding heart. This and that to stop federal spending on all this stuff. And then it goes through and it talks about these things, you know, grants and loans. Now, whether or not these agencies, not all of them, some of those are called non-government organizations, or you'll hear them say NGOs. They get those through grants, loans, and other financial assistance programs. CASA and a lot of those others go through these things. If you spend any free zones, that's all those people that ain't going to get paid. And you know, it's just crazy to turn around, because the idea under the purpose of Social Security Act of 1935, Title IV funding or reimbursement is what it is that he's talking about, is meant with keeping the purpose in mind of keeping families together, not pushing them through a false and coming through this. And they talk about this in this article that I think people get so much on. Oh, well, he's doing it and nothing happened. Listen to their arguments, though. And they're talking about taking an out, estimates that $329 billion in funding for the nation's neediest children that appears to be in danger. Notice the word, not are in danger, appears. Well, it depends on the picture that you're painting, guys. I mean, you guys know that, and we know that. If I take and I turn around and I say, you know, let me paint you a picture, and it's only one-sided and it's not both sides, if you will say, of the coin, then it's not a fair assessment. And that's one of the things we do on this platform, is to turn around and give you both sides and say, here's this argument, well, here's this. But you see how they're twisting it. Oh my gosh, you know, there's $329 billion. You know, we got to have this. This is just because we think we need it, not based on evidence. See, that's the same thing with forensic interviews and factual interviews. Most people don't know there's two different types of those. Forensic interviews are shoulda, coulda, wouldas. They're suggestive. They're not based in fact. They're based on theories. That's why they don't hold up. They're meant to be an investigative tool to look at other things to look at for criminal cases. Well, they decided, and hey, if they've got to do this in the criminal court, why not run everybody through it? Because if we can get lucky, we can catch criminal charges. But if there's not enough criminal charges to go into the criminal court and meet the criminal standard, we'll just handle it down here at civil court, because there's nothing there. Or how much can we create? And even if you look at a lot of your states, if you look at forensic interviews, they'll tell you what's admissible, what's not admissible. Once again, look at you. Was that done properly in your, if you've had a case or you're about to have a case and this and that, do some studying on your state's rules of evidence on how to enter forensic interviews. Some states will tell you it's not meant to use in court. It's not to substitute for in-person testimony of these particular things. But then you got to look at, other unique situations where they kidnap the children. How can this be a non-biased, once again, testimony when you've taken children, you've caused trauma? How can you get them to testify against you when you've had somebody in their ear constantly? How is that not impartial? It's biased from the very beginning because you're manipulating the children. Now, the other issue that's going to come to point here, and this is going to be a huge one, we're going to address it in our federal case. Where was the child's right under these forensic interviews you're forcing parents to bring them in and do? Where's the child's rights? Because if you're going to question somebody for criminal charges or anything else, you have to read them their rights and they have to understand it. Oh, yeah. Comprehend, understand. Do you know what that means? Do you still wish to talk to me? You still have to explain that to a child, which is why you're not supposed to be dealing with children whatsoever in the first place. This is why officers are talking and saying, listen, you don't have to talk to me. If you want to talk to me, anything you say may be used to hurt somebody, whether you know it or not, on how I use it, somebody you love. Ouch. But they don't care because it's a manipulation tactic. When we allowed law enforcement in this country to legally lie to anybody to get out, say this or this or that, every government worker out there thought, well, if they get the exception to the rule, why can't I? And this is where integrity and honor and everything else has been taken out of our courtroom, because these people don't have to tell the truth. And mass corruption. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit here too. I'm going to share something. A lot of people say, well, what's your connection with Jessica Saxon? Because we see that back and forth, that she'll tag you, or you'll go back and forth to this end. Are you with Tano? Are you this? No. Let me make this clear. Jessica Saxon has her own personal case in the very same county and state I reside in. We have had similar judges and magistrates, which is what connects us with what we're doing. This is like our home front record, effort here of mass exposure. But I want to share this because Blount County, Tennessee is falling apart. Okay. And the corruption in this county, from the sheriff to the district attorney to the judges, the family court judges, these judges, that judge, all the other things that are going on, like I said, in this county are now hitting the state's attention, but it's also getting federal attention because it's all coming out with right now. You'll see Jessica had took and advertised some of the judges and magistrates that she's encountered and how they already have complaints filed against them. Well, there was somebody else that she does a lot of stuff here in Blount County, and I do stuff in Blount County. So when we have stuff here in Blount County that really takes hold, I want you guys to watch this. This is going to blow your freaking mind. This is a judge in Blount County, Tennessee, admitting to these things of who she is and what she's known by here in the county, by the people. And just see once again, I don't care attitude. But let's watch this one together.
I am Wicked Goddess. It's a long story. I am Wicked Goddess. Yes, I am.
I should say the Honorable Kenlyn Foster, right?
To restrain mother from posting about minors on social media, to restrain mother from disseminating information about this matter on social media, to restrain mother from communicating with healthcare providers to restrain mother from contacting the guardian ad litem except through counsel.
Is this the first time in my day job I'm honorable, right?
Okay, I'm going to disagree with the word honorable here because we have dozens of families that are coming out in Blount County, Tennessee with evidence, hard evidence of crimes that have been committed against them and their children in Blount County Juvenile Court. So the word honorable during the day job, that's questionable. Continue.
Fair enough.
Do you ever hide it from people where you're like,
Yes.
this person doesn't need to know?
Do you?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. So, restaurants, going out, you see people and you just put your head down because you don't want them spitting in your food.
Oh, come on, guys. Don't spit in their food. The law is on our side. We don't have to do these petty little things in public. Okay? We have a right to petition our government for redress of grievances. We have a right to expose the things that are happening in family court, in juvenile court, probate court, criminal court, all of these different courts. We don't have to cut eyes at these officials when we see them out in public. We need to move forward respectfully, peacefully, and lawfully, literally in reverence of the law. That's the only way that we're going to be able to win.
The parents are probably the worst, and it's awful to say, but I mean, I have some parents who just...
The parents are the worst? I mean, if you have a judge that is walking into a courtroom to adjudicate between two parents, but the parents are the worst, doesn't that already establish some type of biases against both parents? Is that why Blount County, Tennessee has 50% of their children that are in the public school, 50% of those children are in foster care?
Guys,
Is that why? Because there's an established biases of parents being the worst in Blount County Juvenile Court?
You feel so sorry for their children because of the way the parents are, but if the parents step out of line, I don't have a problem holding them.
And see, I would disagree with this idea that she feels sorry for the children, and here's why. Because I have children that have aged out from her orders. Children that have come back to these parents. The children that were isolated from one parent or the other, or isolated from both parents because Judge Kinlan Foster threw them into foster care while disregarding all of the actual evidence, while not supporting and upholding the Constitution according to her oath of office. We have evidence of this. So for her to get out here and publicly say that she cares so much about the children, I'm going to say that I have evidence that shows otherwise.
We're supposed to be fair and impartial
Right.
and keep our heads down and do our jobs, and so that's good judging. If you're not making the news, that's like you're doing a good thing.
Yes, I would agree that it's a really bad day for a judge when they make it on the news. Today, Judge Kinlan Foster made it on the news. And this video is made exercising 100% of our First Amendment right to free speech, freedom of the press, freedom to assemble, and freedom to petition our government for the redress of grievances.
I am Wicked Goddess. It's a long story.
There you go, guys. That's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with here in Blount County, Tennessee, and she is not the only judge that's like that. I don't know. I mean, that's disgusting to me for somebody to come on with this and that and not we're here to do, and it should break your heart every time that families are splitting. Matter of fact, the actual purpose of the Social Security Act of 1935, Title IV, is to find ways to keep families together. Was it money? Was it this? Was that? And offer those public services. If you don't have a home for you and your children, the idea was not to take them. The idea was to offer them services, which they're not. That's what the whole reason that they were created, but they've stepped beyond into this weaponized round. And did you hear that number? 50% of the children in Blount County, Tennessee are now in slavery and in foster care. 50%, over 50% with that number. Now, I know where Jessica got those numbers. I know there's people that are in, like I said, the school systems, this and that, they have to give those things up. That's public knowledge. They can look through those things, but that's 50% of the children. That is way too much government whatsoever to say 50% of the parents in Blount County are not operating the way they're supposed to. And I'm going to put some real good money on it and say that's the poor end of Blount County We have slaves. You are poor and you are here in this county. Your children are up for grab because now you're more profitable for the county than collecting tax dollars because you're poor. But it says right in there, you're not supposed to pick on the poor or do this and that. Then why do you have custody of over 50% of the children in foster care? That means CPS has been involved. This is the same county that I'm fighting and exposing in my case and in my federal case that is going to blow the whistle off of. This is a major hub here. We're close to a major hub for child trafficking, both nationally and internationally. Now, some of that will come out a little bit later. We do have people that are looking into that, researching that, and making the connections with naming names of companies, finding the funds where they came from and what they do. And you guys just saw the video at the very end. It's all about the money. It has nothing to do. You can never put, when you put a price tag on a life, that's disgusting. That is so un-American and so unconstitutional because people are not property of the state. And they're doing just that. They're going against their own state's constitution, especially here in Tennessee, that it says it specifically in their constitution. People cannot be property of the state. Therefore, they're not to own anything. Humans. It's a directive against slavery, but they still do it. But until somebody connects the dots and holds them accountable of saying, wait a minute, aren't you violating this? Aren't the children your property and your responsibility when you take this or you TPR it and when they go into foster care and this and that? Yes. No, not while parents are alive. There's the loophole. And if there's constitutional issues, which the courts have already said in the Ninth Circuit Court, Ninth Circuit Court out in a Court of Appeals that dealt with that, said that there's constitutional law saying there are constitutional rights protecting the family. But the issue is that we've been softened down so much over the time that we don't grab our Second Amendment and defend our homes. I've got an order from the thing, bring your kids out or this, and that. You've got a warrant. Court order just means I have to comply. If I'm in the safety of my home, Fourth Amendment, you must to come into the home, to even request to come in. You can't request anything. It's a violation. We already dealt with that. We told you the case law on that. White versus Pierce County, a CPS worker cannot. A warrant is mandatory to enter the home. We gave you the case law on that. The issue is people are not coming together in the neighborhood because they're scared. They're poor, but they got to understand, if you've got 50% of the children in Blount County, what if that 50%, when only 3% stood up to make this country a nation that it is today? 3% is all it took. You've now got 50% of the children. What if you all came together and stood up for yourselves? What would happen? They would fear you. They would call you in, or it would automatically lead to what? A federal investigation because of people uprising. What is going on? What's this over? This is over stealing our children. Now we're coming for you. This is what's happening in other nations. Same stuff. And the people are uprising. We're not going to take this anymore. They were stealing them from the children of other countries, if you do your research, and they're giving them to families that are immigrants and that are Muslim and in other countries. And I'm sure that's happening here now. Matter of fact, go look at the research of what it was when they removed children from a good mother-father home, the type of foster care thing that goes into. You know what a majority of them are? Homosexuals, people that enjoy each other, and there's nothing wrong with some of those things. That's fine. But then also people that are pushing trans agenda. That is the biggest number of people that are getting the children nationwide right now. They'll take them out of those homes, conservative homes, and placing them into a liberal home. In other words, saying, even though you don't want your children exposed to liberal ideas and you want to put your own belief system in your child, this is why we call this cultural genocide. is because they remove your choice of what you put in your child. And then once it starts getting in, it's like a virus. Because a kid don't know no damn better. Other than what they, self-gratification, I get the clothes, I get the phone, I get the this, I get the, all the little fancy thing. And this is what they take and they push them out there. Hey, you're a good looking girl. You got caseworkers going out. Why don't you just go prostitute yourself out and then you make your own money? Hey, I had to do it. Whoa, what? You got caseworkers that were brought up saying the same thing, ruining people's good homes and good families to what? Push hookers, child pornography, all these judges, everything's coming out, and all the people in school systems, anybody that's around your child, that they're forcing you to put it in, saying you have no choice, are the same ones that put your child at the greatest threat instead of being at home, educating them yourself, finding a way to do it. Why? Because you can. Now, I found this amazing, and I'm going to share this one with you guys too. And this says a lot about America and probably a lot of others, that we've gone through all this advancement and everything else. But basic, fundamental, to be able to live and survive if something actually happened in this country, which we're not above it happening anywhere. Civil unrest, nuclear war, medical issue, widespread virus, all these other things. Check this out.
This video is going viral right now on Twitter because this woman brings up some very interesting things about the education system.
After 13 years of government education, the average 18-year-old is economically and historically illiterate. They do not know anatomy, nutrition, or native plants. They cannot build a house, work on a car, or farm. This is a massive waste of potential. No other time in history were people this incompetent. Homeschool your children, and remember, education is not exclusive to a classroom.
Never mind all that, which is true. It is shocking the amount of similarities between school and prison. Not always a dress code, but definitely authoritarian structure. And you may be thinking, what do you mean? Well, you raise your hand, you ask a teacher, they're the authority. You get used to having an authority figure that isn't a parent, by the way, which is very telling. Emphasis on silence and order, yes. Raise your hand to go to the freaking bathroom. And what's with that? Walking in lines? Oh yeah, my late father-in-law always said, if people are in line, you go the other way. Get away from the freaking line, man. Don't line up. Loss of individual autonomy, yes. Abridged freedoms, that's true. You have to be here at this time, yada yada yada, regimented, boo. No input in decision making, true. They'll pretend it's called actually the Delphi technique. Look up the Delphi technique, DELPHI. And it's a way where they basically, let's say a city or a town is going to impose this new thing. They'll invite everyone to come give their opinions and what do people think and should we be doing this? But it's all for show. They 100% are doing it anyway. They're just pretending to want public input. But it's called the Delphi technique. Check that out. And then set times enforced for walking, eating, etc. That's literally true, man. Not to mention the artificial lights, which we know reduces the lifespan by about 50% in fruit flies and chickens that are under artificial light. And that's not even to mention the Wi-Fi that are now in schools frying people. I mean, this is freaking crazy, man. Comment for part 2 and follow for more.
Did you catch something in there? Because I did. The ability, to follow, these lines and everything else, schools look like prisons, so on and so forth. But taking and subverting your authority as a parent. When do they start school? Kindergarten. They start at a very, very young age. And it's not implementing what? Your values, what you believe, or your freedoms, or exercising any of those other things. It's about oppression from the very get-go with public schools. Why? You have a set schedule. It's not your own. You don't work with anybody's disabilities, we'll say, known or unknown at that time, especially since a child's developing. But the thing about the school board meetings, did you hear about the meetings? And he was talking about those. Remember when all the parents took and there was all this huge stuff and parents were getting on this domestic terrorism list and all this other bullshit that was happening when they were going to the school meeting saying, we don't want the, this agenda or that agenda or whatever it may be. in our kids' classroom, in our libraries, whatever it may be, they're kids, that they were having them arrested and for exercising their free speech, and their kids were there. We don't want to hear from them. You're going to do what we think is best. Doesn't that sound just like CPS? Yeah. It's makes you question it, really, and a lot of people get down on this, and the reason we're touching on this is because it can seem very, very, very overwhelming. And with our court systems, there's no instant gratification. Everything else has a timetable, and you have to wait, and you have to suffer through that delay time, even though you want instantaneous justice. And I get what you guys are talking about. This, it shouldn't be like this. You're right, it shouldn't. Unless I've committed a crime, a criminal act, and you have supporting evidence to move forward, or I've damaged somebody's property, which puts me in civil court, is civil things, not child trafficking people as, commercial, because that's the only way it's supposed to be dealing with. Civil's about contract law. I've made no contract with the state. I've done none of this. I haven't done, haven't cooperated. I haven't done this, and that. If I've got to deal with law enforcement, let them do their job. And when they do their job, and if it's done correctly, and they've looked at everything, they're going to see, the point of view. And generally, they're going to walk away. And this is happening with a lot of CPS cases nationwide. Investigation for what? Abuse, neglect, and all these other things. This is why they get people in here, sign your name here. This was one trick they had to get us involved, which means you gave over custody of your kids. And then they call over the criminal court and go, hey, guess what? I got another sucker. They just signed over their rights to their kids. That's criminal in this state. Go arrest them for child abandonment. I hear thousands of stories like this a week. Same concept. Not along the way, you're screaming, I will not. This is bullshit, the whole 9 yards. And they think you're absolutely crazy. They did. Why? Because they did it to me. But then came the day when we found the thing that unlocked them. And trust me, when we get that appeal back, our state appeal, which is going to be the state turning around and admitting, you guys don't understand how powerful this is. Getting the state to overturn and say what was done to you was illegal and not sanctioned, so to speak. They abused their power, they abused their position, or they were neglectful, is what happens when you get, excuse me, you get an appeal. That is so powerful that it makes the state turn around and put their tail between their legs and come sucking up to you as fast as you can. Why? Because this is what's happened in other cases where people have done that and filed a federal case, because now they're screwed. Because they've already got the state admitting to the fact they committed the crime. But then they get them to sign these non-disclosures that you'll never talk about. That includes criminal court, which means this is how these criminals are getting off and paying people off to get away with it. Now the judge or whatever will get a slap on the wrist, maybe move her across state, or him or her across state, and we'll just let them open up shop. Why? Because they were profitable before they got caught. Or they'll move to another state. I'll practice as a lawyer, and then back up the ladder they go again. It's a system, watching itself. And like we said, you've got people that are not doing things now going into even more. That's crazy. I want to now listen. I know if you guys have been watching me here on Facebook, I did post this, and I'm going to show you this, and we got a good kick out of it. Was this one, and we just removed ourselves from the WHO. I don't know if you guys caught that with RFK, but we were removed from the WHO, and here's the reason why. I want you to look at this, and this is going to blow your mind. People who do not have sex or struggle to find a sexual partner to have children. So you got to have that thing in there to have children. Your point is to procreate, not just because you didn't have sex and everybody got a kick out of it online. Because, Well, I should get paid that. I'm disabled because I haven't had sex. No, 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 no. Read the fine print. Now be considered. They did that one because I think I just got frozen. Okay. I don't know if that froze for you guys, but it said, oops, lost connection. Look at this. If you can't, what does that mean? Everybody who's sterile from the you know what, you're disabled. Everybody that transitioned who can now not have natural children nor find a partner. Wasn't that the big thing? I used to be a man and now I'm a woman, and even though I've had a top and a bottom, I reveal that nobody wants to date me or lay with me. Notice there's nothing in there about self-mutilation, is there? I didn't see anything on there about self-mutilation being a reason not to get this disability. Well, they just cleared the books on disability because they just took off a bunch of people that weren't supposed to, and people that were dead and a bunch of others. So they've got a ton of money now that they've recouped that's not going out every month. And now they're seeking those monies back from those people for fraud. Even some of them, politicians. That's right. You've heard that in the news. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. Politicians that take and turn around and decided that they were going to double dip on Granny's dead. And guess what? Not going to happen no more. Granny's dead, and you know you're still collecting her checks. Not cool. But I want you to really think about that because it's blowing my mind to turn around and go, well, this is going on, and this is going on, and this is going on. Yeah, no kidding. But that was during the time the article earlier was about the time the DOGE was trying to get into Title IV and analyze it and everything else and cut it off. He wanted to make sure that they weren't bleeding off or super siphoning, because that Title IV account is huge federally. I mean, it's huge amount of money. And I'll be honest with you, it just blows my mind, like I said, with everything else we've got going on, and even with our case, and yes, we're a little in between on some things. We've got our filings in. Right now, we're in that stupid waiting window, and it is so difficult. It is so difficult when you know you're right, you know where everything's going to go. It's as obvious as the sun. You know you've got it. You're waiting on them. And say, well, everybody says, oh, well, how do you know that I'm not in an appeal to do with another court? This goes to the state level, is where it was filed, and it lists the crimes and the actual things they didn't follow even within their own code. One was, like I said, perjury was entered in there, not by myself claiming it. It was an officer of the court claiming perjury. The second part was the fact they didn't follow the process for entering evidence or the rules of this set. When it came down to is the one never had or required any cross-examination that was even made available. The second one, which was under, as you guys know, some of the same judges and magistrate, like I said, that Jessica Sexton's got, that goes through there, that, you know, same thing. The judge was confronted. Can we get this person to testify? Nope, got to be on your witness list. Well, the code says cross-examination. Cross-examination means it can't be on you cannot put that requirement on me, and you should have known that. And for you to be somebody that you are in Blount County, Tennessee, and supposedly done this for a while, that's ignorance of the law. That's ignorance of policy and procedure. It means you didn't follow them, which means overturn, 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 and it's just that blatant. And to get them to do that and understand they don't, this is the idea of the appellate court is generally it's a blind panel. They're just chosen from time to time like a lottery. And they all go into a room and they evaluate every case, and then they evaluate what your complaint is. What are we looking for to overturn this case? You point it out, and they go back into the records. They go into the, you know, all the evidence and everything else, and then they look at the judge's summation. And when a moron judge and magistrate base everything off of one thing, that wasn't even legally entered as evidence, and that's all they had, which shows the due process violation, let alone there should have been a jury on this and that, because like I said, they attacked a criminal code in a civil court and said, oh, well, we can do that. It doesn't matter. You're still supposed to have a jury, you dumbass. Well, what part of that don't you understand either? And they say, oh, well, no, that doesn't count for family. And no, that goes for every court. When you have a criminal code next to it in a civil courtroom, no matter if it's a family issue or not, it still requires a jury. And that's what they didn't want to get. Now they got caught because they didn't figure that one out either. Doesn't matter. You're attaching this particular code to it. It's not a civil violation. It's a criminal violation is what you're trying to pin. But yet you didn't even have Jack. There was the fun part. You don't even have Jack to even bring me to criminal court. They laughed you out of that courtroom when you try to do it. We don't have anything. There's nothing we can use. Absolutely. Why? Because there's nothing there, which is where CPS bent the evidence and created what they wanted to and controlled the narrative, withheld evidence on top of it, all sorts of different things in there. And it was all, everybody was everybody's buddy in there. And it was just, you're standing back knowing how some of these things work and go, that the hell ain't right. That ain't right. But now this is your chance at liberation. This is that chance to, to go in. Once that's in, that bam, they'll be on the door. Hey, let's talk dollars and cents and sign this. Because a lot of us could go to jail over this shit. And you know what you're doing. At the same time, we've told them there ain't no damn way. You can shove that settlement offer straight up your damn ass. Why? Because we're going to court and we're going to put some stuff on the record and we're going to deal with some case law and we're going to deal with some other things here and there. And why you're operating the way you're operating, because you shouldn't be. And it's not just about me. It's about everybody that has to come in contact with those, let alone you turn around and ask them if there's a conflict of interest. Most people didn't put a lot of things together that we've told them that we've come along to. You want to talk about bias? Is not your judge a county judge? Everybody's going to go, well, yeah, I'm in front of the county judge. Isn't the person or whatever else to do it, are they not in the same county such as your county CPS system with there and there? Yeah. You don't think there's any bias whatsoever of two county entities coming against me to win? How is that a fair and impartial trial? Maybe we need to change of venue. You think into another county or bring in a special judge? Why? Because don't you live in this county? Don't you this? Yeah, there's your bias. You can't have a fair trial. And this is what a lot of people are out there saying of going, holy cow. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, there's your bias. How can somebody from the county or the state, well, we work for the state, doesn't matter. You have a county office. You should have brought people in. If you're going to do that, you have to bring in a judge from a different county. They're still connected. I mean, even if you wanted to get rid of the bias, and they don't want to. And that's the mass corruption that goes on. And I don't know. I don't know if somebody's here. Let me see if somebody's here in the back room. Somebody come in. Yep, there he's here. Guys, if he's got a minute here, CPS Punisher, I think is going to jump on for a minute. I've got a video I just really want him to look at, and this drives me ape shit of how soft we've become as Americans to even allow this to happen, let alone somebody comes in and fights, towards the end of this and that. I don't know. Darren, you back there? Bring yourself out here if you can here. So, yeah, this is going to blow your damn mind, because it's going to go, and I'm sure he's out here. You out there?
I'm trying. Here I am.
Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
Okay. All right. This is going to blow your mind. This is how soft we've become as a country. How much totalitarianism we can stand. This will blow your mind. Watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't allow them in. They walked in with no permission.
Oh, here. Let you into my home. No one let them in. Get my cell phone now. Record this. Who let you into my home? I did. No one let you in. You walked into our house. We have that on recording. I am recording it. Don't tell me to get out of my house.
Seriously, I'm gonna arrest somebody.
Arrest me then.
You can arrest me.
Arrest me. Arrest me.
Are you serious?
Arrest me for what?
No warrant. This comes in when you called us, them saying, no, we did not.
Just beat the
No,
hell out of
no
her?
probable cause.
Arrest me for what?
Yeah.
For barging. No one assaulted you. It's on video.
For us,
Oh,
yeah,
buddy,
charge her with
you're gonna have
assault
fun
for
with this,
them breaking
eh?
and entering.
Jesus.
Mom, stop. It's okay.
In her own home. Fourth Amendment protected.
Just comes in the house.
I will stop resisting. You guys are having a night, eh?
Here we go. I'm just going to lean into you, even though
You
you're
guys are
tough.
having a great
He's
night,
been
eh?
tough now for a good 10,
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Can
He's
you get your
still got
hands
his
off my
pressure
mother,
right on the back
please?
of her neck.
Can you get your hands off my mother? She never assaulted an officer.
Okay. On your stomach.
She never assaulted an officer. You guys are gonna have fun with this one. Hey, you guys are gonna have fun with this one. Have fun with this one, guys.
No.
What's your badge number, sir?
No.
What's your badge number? No one invited these guys into our house. They walked in. Glad you guys have chest cameras.
Yeah, but
You're on video, by the way.
I'm being arrested for what?
Oh yeah, it's on camera. She never assaulted an officer. So you guys have fun with this one. Let my mother go now and I'll delete the video, but you guys are in trouble.
Don't delete the video.
So long as the cop's seeing it on the camera makes it so and factual.
Arrested with what? I'm being arrested with what? I can't breathe.
Can you get off her, please? This is excessive force, brutality. This brutality.
Yeah, no reason. Look at this.
Calgary Police Service,
Look at him cranking up
brutality in my
stuff,
own
man.
house, which I did not
Oh,
invite
yeah.
them in. What's your name, officer? What's your name? Look at me.
You know what? Second
Failure
Amendment
to
right there,
identify.
dude.
Failure to
Second
identify.
Amendment.
G. What's your badge number, sir?
Second
I'm asking
Amendment
you.
all day long.
It's my right to know your badge numbers, please. What's your badge
Somebody
number
with this
and your
that
name?
right there, blam, right there.
Hey,
Yeah,
video
I'd have knocked
family.
him like the
We
fuck out,
promote
man.
violence,
Yeah,
but
you
that
must be
is
some
Second
heroes,
Amendment
eh?
violation, and
Couple
you're now
heroes, hey?
broken
Just,
into, and you
yeah,
feel
wow,
threatened.
you're a hero, buddy.
You
What a hero.
I need your help right
with
now.
armed
He's
intent.
a lawyer. I need you
to do this.
immediately. You need to get to my house immediately.
I didn't
My
do
wife is being
anything.
arrested.
I have it on video.
Why?
And our front cameras shows me saying that you guys aren't allowed in my house.
Who entered you to my home?
I didn't allow.
He even turned around and told them, you didn't have permission to enter my house, and pushed their way in. Wow.
Whew. Well, that just pissed me right off, man.
Well, I mean,
That's like
this
that's
is what we're talking about. The CPS and everything else does the same fucking thing, and people don't understand. Grab your form of protection and defend against tyranny. Why? Because it's going to trigger what? It's a state employee, right? Who comes out? It ain't the state police. They're going to come out and investigate. And who they going to call? The FBI. Because they can investigate crimes with this. It has to go to the higher authority. Where's the first thing you go? No warrant, no probable
Yep.
cause. Well, they call, prove it. How can you prove something? Well, they called into dispatch. Prove it. Because you didn't show up to the door with proof or probable cause to come in. There's no imminent danger. There's nothing, anything in here. Then you come in and you're talking to people, and then you just turn around and you say, get out of my house. What the hell are you doing? And you're standing up for your rights, and that's called retaliation under the color of law. That's abuse under the color of law. You have a right to. That's an act of tyranny. This is what the Second Amendment was created for, was for corrupt fucks like this to turn around and think twice. Why? Because it's going to be justified. Well, here we had somebody. Then why were they called for? There was no crime.
Right. Right.
No reasonable articulated suspicion. No reasonable articulated fact whatsoever. And then he escalated things, and then turned around and put his hands up, which put her hands on. And then next thing you know, they were exchanging. He escalated and caused the incident. Oh, well, now you're for assault and battery of a police officer. Under what authority? You weren't supposed to be in here in first spot. And people don't understand with some of this stuff. If we had more of this stuff and we stood for our rights, it's going to trigger a higher investigation that what? You can't cover up. Because all you're screaming, no warrant. They broke into my home. Then they have to go through the whole thing. What's the probable cause? And then they're going to try. Listen, this has happened, and you don't hear about them too much. All you hear about is John Joe K had this happen back then, and now they're in court. They're settling out of court. As soon as it does the court thing, what's the next thing you do? You don't hear from them again, or you don't get a follow-up of the case. Why? They settle out of court, sign that non-disclosure agreement. Bam. Case gone. Just enough. And corruption and corruption and corruption. It's, well, we're still going to go after him. The district attorney, it shot a cop. A cop that doesn't have the protection anymore, you dumbass. I mean, if you turn around, where does the cop get the protection? Where is the immunity? Where's this? Where's that? It was gone when they entered without a warrant or probable cause. We got a call is not enough to go down. That I could, Joe Jim by. Dear God, you ever take and order somebody? I mean, back in the day, you had people that would order pizzas to somebody else's house.
Yep. Yeah.
It's, it's the same thing.
Yep. Yep.
How is it any fucking different?
Right.
It's not. Well, I'm going to order a bunch of pizza. I'm going to play a prank on him. I'm going to send CPS over there because I don't like the way he cut his lawn. You know how many neighbors have done that shit to people? Just over neighbor fucking wars from somebody being a fucking Chad or a Karen.
Yeah.
I'll call CPS on them all the fucking time for this or that. Oh, their kid's this, their kid, and all this. Man, that ain't living in a damn community. I'll tell you what ended up happening back in my day. Somebody would have drug you out in your front yard and beat the fuck out of you for doing stupid shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what.
And then you ain't going to say nothing. And then you ain't going to say nothing. What are you going to do? You're going to get your teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
But
you're
going to hide behind this and that.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah. And the neighbors turned around and the neighbors stood with you. Here's that piece of shit neighbor. And that's where everybody used to take and get together as communities and neighbors. Here's the piece of shit that'll rat anybody else out and do all this other shit. If you don't do it their way, they try to control everything. And then guess what came after that? HOAs. And the Karens fucking up. Well, now we've got you under contract law. You must have your out there with a tape measure. Oh, you've got grass blades over so many inches. You got to cut your grass. Well, it's in between. Well, we're going to fine you. Fuck off. And people buy into this thinking, oh, it's a great thing. It's a great community. It's a gated community. We have this, we have that. You're always going to find somebody in there that's going to abuse it and take that as some kind of power. But you got to understand, too, even with these HOAs and under contract law, they can't violate your constitutional rights.
No, they cannot.
Because once again, that's deceiving. And listen, guys, we found some, matter of fact, it was some not case law, but code. Now, this is more powerful than case law. People don't understand that. And Darren, I think he could go into that pretty well it's not about case law. Case law is somebody's opinion on it. You go straight to the code, he'll look at some other things of where other judges may have landed, but he or she has to make their own damn decision. And that's where it takes in it, and it kills everybody that everybody goes, well, I don't believe this. I don't believe that. Look at the code, look it up yourselves. And this is where it really matters. And this is, understand, the only way CPS can deal with you is contract law, right?
So they say.
7 USC subsection 6B. Okay. And I'm going to try and put this in here. Excuse me. Cough has just been getting at me. It's that weather change.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in the comments here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, weather up and down, hot and cold. Right there.
Yeah, give you pneumonia.
Contracts meant to mislead or defraud are null and void.
Yeah. So how can you not?
So you get them.
Yeah.
This is where you can use this stuff is show me the contract I've signed with you, and put it under their codes, because under their rules and or their codes and their under the codes and policies, even the policies and procedures,
right,
still requires a contract to be interactive. If you don't contract of this and that, you can pull that up in a civil type courtroom and you have to hold them to that. I did not know, or you wrote this meaning to mislead me or defraud me or to violate my constitutional rights.
Right.
You can come at it from a civil aspect as well. That's a contract. I have no contract with you. I never had a contract with you. This is going to be one of the bases too of turn around, prove your contract. Well, this is the contract we have. Once again, it's been forged. Therefore, what? Because it's forged. 7 USC subsection 6B, contracts meant to mislead or defraud and forgery. It was meant to do that. So now caseworkers can forge your name to contracts and it's legal. And I've heard people say that. And what do you say to that, Darren? I mean, you're the in contract law.
Yeah.
Is that legal?
No. That makes things void ab initio, man. And this is what people need to stop with: the void order, the void judgment, the void everything. Look, if a contract is not what it is supposed to be on face value, if you didn't know about it, if there's any sort of sneaky or sly terms in there, if it's not put down as it's introduced, it's not put down as it's meant. If it's not any of those things, man, it's void ab initio. And the difference between void ab initio, void judgment, void all that other shit is void ab initio means it never even existed. Void from the beginning. Never even took place. There was nothing to even void out because it was so ridiculous and so well. I mean, a contract has to have a certain amount of things in there to make it a contract, meaning like the names of the people, the dates that they are, it needs to have the purpose of the contract, what each side of is supposed to receive from that contract. So the services or items, all of these things. So if you just, when they do that safety plan and they say that that's a contract, right? Now that should be void ab initio, because that's not your thinking it's a safety plan. You don't realize that you're contracting with the agency to now become like the determiner of your parental rights and everything. You're supposedly just signing a safety plan saying, I agree to these terms, and that's it. Not signing your rights away to this 3-letter agency.
As soon as you sign, you're done.
Right.
Your argument's over.
But that whole thing it's a bullshit thing, because it's not a legit contract. It's a lie. It's the whole thing. It's a damn lie.
Yeah, John was asking earlier, as far as those fundings and businesses and bonuses, those come from the federal. Matter of fact, one of the things I think a lot of people don't understand, the thing that with the foster care program was the main focus of it was those that were aging out, was the focus of what a lot of that extra funding was, is those that turn 18. And even though they haven't graduated high school or anything else, funding was being cut off. And to extend it beyond that for getting out some sort of traverse between I'm now homeless, I'm now this, I'm now that, finding some bridge in between, which will be once again, I'm going to have a crystal ball here, and Darren can agree with me. This is not hard to see anyway.
Crystal ball.
This is where you'll see non-government agencies or organizations, NGOs, being funded to utilize parts of these programs that they're going to set up. It's another form of social services.
Yeah.
And they're going to jump on it. Not private entities, not getting you back in. Okay, well, here's food, here's shelter, here's job placement or job. Let me get you into something like this or that.
Yeah.
They definitely don't want you into the damn trades because they hate the trades. Because why? Those people are very intelligent people.
Yeah.
They just don't have, once again, pieces of paper shoved up their butt to believe something. Now, those that take and do some of those, I applaud your efforts to studying somebody else's personal study of something you can study directly yourself in a firsthand experience that you don't need. And usually cutting edge people with this, that, here, we're going to give you an honorary doctorate or this, that. Why? Because you've done all these things, but yet you've never went to college in your entire life or something. And that was happening a lot, even in the first colleges. Why? Because they were just the best at what they did. And that started with law schools, doctors, and everything else. It was those that were practicing. In other words, I'm a doctor out of India and this and that, and I found a magical cure for adding these plants that, well, you got published, but you also got a doctorate on or a doctorate to come
Right.
over and practice.
Right.
Because they didn't align internationally, because there's people that get credentials. And this happens with our own military. Actually, it was an issue. A lot of people don't realize this, is that in the United States Navy, if you were become a medic or something like that, that doesn't transfer over to a first responder or trauma unit, but the Army medic does.
Yeah.
For a particular size. In other words, it was actually a crime when all they did in the Navy as a corpsman was to turn around and save lives or trauma, trauma responders. They were like, first responders, so to speak. They were there on the ground. That didn't transverse over into the private sector, but the armies did. So there was some bias on it. And there's literally, if somebody gets caught doing it, it's actually a crime because you're not licensed, and they'll actually go after you, especially if you were in the military during that time and you were foreman, but you didn't pay for the extra, and they had to start all over again. And it was a slap in their face to do that. But once again, this is about manipulation and control, not how we can better our fellow man. I mean, can you imagine somebody that's like one of the top heart surgeons in the world, and just because they can't get a credential, or they have to wait on credentials, this and that, or some kind of thing that they do to save lives, we're going to stop you from saving lives because you don't hold this particular thing over here, even though it works. And you've proven it works. As a matter of fact, we've even published and taught on your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have the license here to practice firsthand. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole process for that. I'm like, that don't make no damn sense to me. It's because of, stupid shit like that. So then you've got people that were doctors or, nurses or this or that are from other countries or third world countries even, that are some of the better trauma people that they turn around and they can't do that here. So they become janitors, or they do this or they do that. It's
Not
like,
that there's anything wrong with being a janitor.
Oh, no, not that there's nothing wrong with being a janitor, but if you have the ability and the talents to be something like a surgeon, or, some of these other specialty things that are very rare to do, and, you've moved to a country that it's useless because either your country no longer exists because of war or whatever that may be, it's kind of a slap in the face. Are we really putting our best foot forward in the face of humanity?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that goes the same for CPS. Is you have all this theory that you're forcing our beliefs. And if you looked at it, I mean, did you hear the numbers that Jessica put out on that?
Yeah, 50%.
50% of the kids are in foster care. That's slavery. That's 100% slavery. And if they can't get you, they're going to get you in another state. They literally will reach across state lines. Even if you leave here from Blount County, they will reach across state lines to reach out and get you again.
Yeah.
And they will not let you go, because once they finger you, you're in the system. We already know that. My show, your show, and a lot of others that are on these things, they touch my family. I'm in the system. Hey, my mom was part of it way back when. Now I'm part of it. Now they got my kids.
Yeah.
And I was taking my mom for what? Nothing. Other than the fact we were just poor. We didn't have the resources. It wasn't our fault. The economy took a shit. It wasn't our fault that, Freddie Mac and all the other banking industries and this and that were stealing people's houses. We were one of those. We weren't. We were one of the families that invested in Enron. Anybody remember that scandal?
Yeah.
Enron scandal?
Yeah.
People that got millions and millions off of that and everything. And it's the same damn cycle, only something different. And the thing is because there's no plausibility, let alone how much did the government take and find recently that people had contracted to produce a certain item and never produced a damn thing, like the one on the naval ships or some shit like that they had given billions of dollars to, and they hadn't produced a damn thing. And it's like, for like so many years, like they were well beyond their contract, but they were renewing their contract over and over again.
Right.
That was people funneling money off of stuff.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Well, and here's the kicker. While the people serving are waiting on those new boats to retire those old boats or whatever it may be that you're trying to get to our troops. Are you freaking serious? You're going to steal from literally the shield of the American way, the military, the United States military, that you're going to steal from them? And they can't get the stuff they need, or they don't have the training they need, or the devices they need, or this, that, for what? Well, this is that. Cut out all the damn NGOs and go over all the government contracts, especially with the military. Make sure they're holding those contracts. That's why they didn't like. Listen, how many times have you heard this, Darren? I know I've heard it several. Is the reason that Trump was in there, they don't like him so much, is because he holds them to their contracts. And if they don't fulfill their contracts, what does he do? He fires them. I mean, think about that. You mean if I don't do my job and perform, I'm going to get fired? There's actions for my consequences. There's actions for not fulfilling a contract.
Right, and it should be in that contract. Because if it's not in that contract, then that's one thing. But if it states clear as day, is you skip work or you do this wrong, you get fired. Then that's what a contract is. You know, like you failed to meet these requirements.
Now, listen, within a lot of those contracts too, there's huge bonuses and incentives on a lot of them, especially roadways. If you get done early, every day you get done early, or every hour you get done early, you get X amount of dollars bonus, which everybody shares in, including the company. There's a nice fat bonus check. Why? These guys are seasonal. And I go, man, we got to work extra hard. We got to work 12, 14 hours. We got to run 24 hours. We're going to meet that deadline. We're going to hit that. Do you know what our bonus check is on just the first one? We cleared an extra, $500,000 on the last one. Boss gave us out all nice big fat checks. We all had $5,000 bonuses. And we socked that away. I mean, and understand, these ain't big crews.
Right.
Hey, the pavement workers got them. The electricians got them. The carpenters got them. The iron workers got them. Everybody that had a contract on that project, if everybody got done or done by their section or by those deadlines that the engineer decided, and the boss says, these are the deadlines, these are the markers we're going to hit, and makes them reasonable they're going to reward the guys for busting their ass. More power to you. But when you don't produce a fucking thing, nothing. What have you had in 5 years? What have you produced? None.
Right, none.
The contract. When were you due to give the product? 2 years ago. We ran over budget.
Yeah. Right.
Or my favorite one that goes around here is the ballroom. Oh my God. The amount of people that turn around and go, well, just take the money from the ballroom and give it to this or give it to that. I'm like, that would be called theft, because that was a gift, a designated gift.
Right.
And under that contract of that gift, it can't be used on anything else. And if it goes above or beyond, this much has been pledged by whatever this person may be or group it is. That's how they deal with politics. That's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be out there asking your constituents or your businesses, help support our state, help support our nation by donating money for these projects, not ripping you and me off.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
But now they're doing what? Double, triple, quadruple,
do whatever they want, because no one knows people. You got this amount, right? Like this book here. All you want to do is put your signature right here at the end and get done with it. So you're not even reading the contracts. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Most people don't even pay attention to that. Like that's the thing. You got to start paying attention to those little thin dotted lines, or all these extra little things that you don't want to pay attention to. You have to.
Oh yeah. Well, then understanding it too, and if you don't understand contract law, having somebody there for counsel, whether it's whomever it may be or whatever else, an attorney or somebody else that's really good at that type of business stuff of looking over those things, because you have to watch them. because they'll put on there, oh, you got this great rate, you've got this, you've got that, but then there's a balloon payment due in so many years. You've got to come up with X amount of dollars. That type of shit that you don't even see. You figure, well, I got a 30-year mortgage, and they were getting people like that left and right in the mortgage companies, giving people out, and they're doing the same thing now. They're giving out mortgages to anybody. Yeah, no background, no job required. Why are you doing that? I mean, it's another damn scam to turn around. Why? It bombs the housing market. And then why? Because if it gets out of control, you give a bunch of houses up to people that can't afford them, and they have that pride, and then they can't do anything, no matter how hard they try, to keep a roof over their head without this coming after them and this coming after them and this coming after them. Now you've got an asset. So if you screw up with your credit cards or this or that, they're going to put liens on your shit, your cars, your houses, all those other things that people go through that people don't understand. Yeah, they want that house back for nothing. They want you to pay tons of money.
Yeah.
And John's right. It happened a lot with COVID. Companies came through and bought up them houses. And you know what? They could guarantee that payment was coming in, whether it was a government check or it was, this and that. They were pissed off. They didn't get what the insurance companies got under Obamacare. They didn't get direct payment. What do? They sent it to the person. What did the people do after they got those COVID checks and everything else? No, that's my money. I'm going on a spending spree.
That's it, right.
And it was like, wait a minute, you didn't use any of that to pay your rent? No, fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah, well,
literally, that's what people were saying.
Yeah. And then by you taking, people don't ever realize that either. When you take those checks that the government gives you, you sign them and cash them, you just contracted.
Yeah.
Like that's just it. And if you don't, they could, like you're saying, they could, if they wanted to, like you said, they didn't pay their rent with that. If they really wanted to enforce these things into the full amount of, the course of the law, they could come and arrest you for that.
Yeah. Well, and this is why there was justification on Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of giving that subsidy money, giving you a check every month or every quarter or every year to put on your insurance, you couldn't be trusted.
Yep.
You had to use it for this and this part, instead of just saying, if you don't, you go into jail.
Right.
And be accountable. No, we'll just take that out of your little hands because you just can't be responsible with money. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to pay them directly. And they love that shit. Yeah. No chance the insurance companies were getting, and that's why everybody's freaking out. Oh, healthcare is going up. Oh my God, it's going up so much. And this, I go, yeah, Obamacare is over.
Right.
And we don't need all this stuff. If they focused on actually, making you healthy, and this is one thing I got to say that Russia does. The doctor hates if you come back and you're constantly sick, like a lot of you are going to the doctor left and right, it's actually a mark against that doctor, and then it actually affects their pay grade and everything else, and it can cause them to lose their license and go back to school because they're not keeping people healthy. Okay? We don't have that here. And they're all, in Russia, all doctors are government employees. And they have a free health care. But you don't see the doctors over there driving Porsches and this and that and all that other crap. Yeah. They're equal, just like it. And once again, that goes to the ego. Maybe it's not such a bad idea if they want to go in that direction to make it where they don't make that kind of money. And all the drug companies and everything else can't give lobbying money or money to doctors or incentives or trips and all this other stuff and go, if you're truly about the Hippocratic Oath, then practice medicine the right way.
Right.
But they don't want to do that. And there's a lot that goes in that. Now the profit, once again, the greed aspect is limited. How many people are going to be going to medical school for 7-8 years for schooling? I mean, it never used to be like that. You know how you became a doctor back in the day? You went and spent the time with the doctor his whole life as an apprentice. Matter of fact, let's go back even further. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. You know who some of the first doctors were? Your barber, which is why they had the pole for the swirly thing.
Really?
And stuff like that. Oh, yeah. They did surgery. They had all the instruments. They had the razors.
Get out, really? That's what the barber pole was for?
Yes. Early form of EMT or hospital.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
No shit. I didn't know that.
During the Old West, that's where Doc and everything else. Why? Because everything was done the same thing, and they became sterilized because they would sterilize all their stuff and go through it. Now, there were some that were dirty when a lot of that was coming on, and they didn't believe in it. But when it came to a lot of that stuff, when it was calling the doctor, 90% of the time, the doctor was the barber.
Mm-hmm.
So
shit. That's really
wasn't
learned something new today.
It's there's a whole story behind the barber pole and the whole 9 yards about it. It's a interesting rabbit hole to go down. But early frontier times and this and that. Yeah, you went to the barber because there was no fancy hospitals. There was nothing else, this and that. You brought them into the doctor, or the barber, which is also usually the doctor, unless your talent was highfalutin. And then, of course, the powder medicine and everything else, because most of them were herbal doctors anyway, and they knew the herbs and everything else that were around in that area. That's why you dealt with somebody local and not somebody from another place. Doctors would come here and, I need medicine. And then they would ship off for medicine, which would come in the bottles. And then they would come to the shipping company through the stagecoaches and so on and so forth, because they delivered a lot of stuff that particular way. History is an amazing thing, but if we don't know where we came from, how are we supposed to know where we're going? And that's back then. Midwives were a very big thing. There wasn't a hospital. There wasn't this and that. There was no, we're going to do this and that. When you had a baby turned or breached, they had certain ways of dealing with that. Stick your hand up in there and get the baby to turn. All sorts of different things. I mean, you got to remember, 9, 10 centimeters, here comes the baby, and you're just trying to get it out. Trust me, they've done it with farmers all too. How many times has cows been breached? They'll get their hand up in there and turn that bastard around and grab it by the You know what I'm saying? That's once again, that's farming. We're disconnected from all that stuff. But we love to go to the grocery store and get our hamburgers and our ribs and all these other things. We just don't realize the things that it takes the farmer to do, or the butcher. A lot of times the farmer won't even deal with the killing. They'll take it to a slaughterhouse and a butcher, and you get all your meat done. That was a profession. Somebody that was really good in that. And there's another profession that's gone, by the way of things. Nowadays you expect everybody and their brother to be a baker and a butcher and everything else. And now the average person don't know how to take and butcher anything. I mean, they'll take their deer in, shoot their deer or crossbow or anything else that they hunt, and send it off to the butcher. Myself, I was trained completely different. We butchered our own meat all the time, skinned our own meat, did the whole thing. Once again, that's part of that thing where he was talking about going through high school. You can't build your own house. You can't hunt for your own food. Do you know how to fish? These are life skills that if anything ever goes bad, you're not going to have a grocery store.
Right.
And if you don't believe they're going to run out of stuff, didn't we face that in our lifetime during the COVID-19 shutdowns?
On multiple occasions, right?
Then you had lines, then you had conformity, and it was what? Back to the institution. Hell no. You're not going to tell me how I'm going to move or how I'm going to shop or what I'm going to do and this and that. Well, this is America. This ain't damn China. And they didn't like that. And even part of Walmart's policies and everything else, they're not supposed to stop you.
Right.
If you turn around and do that, but they're not going to willingly tell you that shit. I still remember the fact they got so mad at me at the local Wally Mart when all that happened. I just walked past the line, their bullshit line, and walked in and go, "Oh, excuse me, where are you going?" Into the store to shop.
Right.
Well, we've got this. Then hit your little clicker and count the people for your capacity. I really don't give a shit. I'm going in the shop. I'm not going to go through. Well, we need to take it. I go, no, that's an invasion of privacy. I says, you're not a medical, or do you have a medical license to practice that? No, you realize I could sue you by just insinuating that you have to do this? You're not qualified to even take temperatures. You don't have a medical degree. Well, it's not. I said, oh, so now you're saying anything medical is, this and that. I go, what's your policy say? Your national policies. They recommend you wearing a mask and temperatures and getting control of this and that, but you're not supposed to stop or impede anybody according to your own corporate policy. I guess you missed that part. And they got madder at me, and then the store manager come out. Sure enough, the store manager confirmed it, and the cop turned around and left and said, "So what's the point of the cattle gates?" I said, "Control people and all this other stuff. We're not doing this shit. This isn't China. This is America. This and that." No. And just looking at half of them, it's like, listen, you're not essential personnel. Yes, we are. Everybody else is home and we're working that. I go, no, if it was really bad, you're shut down. And with the contracts they have, the National Guard comes in and takes over the Walmart network and supplies all the food and takes over. That's the way it's designed. They're not here. I said, you would be sent home. Unfortunately, with my education, certification, and everything else, there was no way in hell I was going home.
Right.
As a master electrician, you just don't. Your infrastructure, your major infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it was one of the things that I never stopped, but I sure as hell wasn't going to have a cashier or some Karen on a power trip with green hair or anything else turn around and tell me, oh, hell no, you're not this and that. When I'm out there, I've had a long 12-hour day. Bottom line, and whether you like it or not, I'm going to piss you off today. You can kiss my ass. I'm going to get my shit and get the hell out of here. You stop me again, I says, we will take a report. I says, and I will have a lawsuit against Walmart fucking corporation. I said, then they're going to fire all of you. I says, because that's their policy. As soon as that happens, done. I had no clue what my vampires. Yes, Mr. Reiner or Renner. Yes, there are contracts in place. You have to look under that. If there is a natural disaster, under anything else, Walmart Corporation and shipping and everything else, it is a major supplier. It has its own trucking lines, its own supply houses. It is connected to everything across the United States. Is why it was done. That yes, the National Guard in time of emergencies can take over Walmarts and sub. I didn't mean to become this, but the blood. It shows me. I never thought volunteering would be a monster. I signed up to fight for humanity.
You're frozen there, Gunner.
I need volunteers now.
Gunner.
That's when I made the biggest mistake of my life. I raised my family.
Well, I guess Gunner's frozen. Man, yeah, I'm really still beside myself with this barber pole thing. It's crazy. Gunner's frozen up. Guys, make sure that you check out cpsbreakingnews.com. We have a bunch of stuff there. Here comes Gunner. I think he's back. There he is. All right, Gunner's back.
Yeah,
yep, he's back.
I got disconnected and reconnected this stupid thing. It's done it a couple times, but there's a lot of things and resources that they take and have, and they have contracts. If there's something that even the Army Corps of Engineers needs to build something or see something or this or that to do something in time of emergency, yes, there are contracts and stuff across the country.
Wow.
From everything from generators, who gets them, diverted things. All your hospitals generally have backup generators or generators on site connected to them. Those are considered higher priority for people that were certified in generators, like myself. You have to make sure those keep going, even to be need some engineering, and you can't get parts, and you absolutely have to have. You do the best you can, but you also understand how to salvage a few things and where to get them. But like I said, there's a contingency plan for just about everything in this country, in case you guys don't know that. And yeah, it's been an amazing thing. Like I said, right now, like I said, where we're at, we're in that stuck waiting game. It's frustrating as hell, waiting for all these things to, and still kind of protecting yourself, making sure you're covered, this and that. We've already got reports from other people that, the sheriff's office, some people had impressed upon the sheriff to try and do something with all of our filings and everything else and this and that. And he was just like, I'm not touching it. And we've already got a no trespass, and we'd have to have, this or that. And it's just not going to happen. And let alone, I don't really go out with my health condition. So I don't put myself out in the public a whole lot. And even then, it's not on a set schedule that you could actually track me. So there's a lot of that takes and goes on. I kind of laugh at it because they're like, yeah, especially here in Blount County, and even Jessica knows Saxton, with a lot of things that are going on. Like I said, even other people coming forward with more evidence, especially that other judge that they got in the recording of what she does and what she says, and having no compassion in a courtroom, especially with family that parents are just the worst and this and that. I can get the aspects of some of it, but once again, you're there to adjudicate. You're there as an officer of peace, right? Is what they're supposed to do. So why aren't you bringing peace to their chaos and saying, listen, if you're getting divorced, can you work it out? Is there any way of reconciliation? Anything else? This, that? No, back and forth. Okay. It's real simple. We don't need, and this is where they scam you with all the lawyers and everything else. Here's the simple thing. List out what you had before the marriage. List what you had during the marriage, the pluses, the minuses, and everything else for these things. And then whatever's in the marriage, plus or minus, we have to divide that evenly, whether it's a surplus, which is half and half, and if it's debt, then it's half and half. How do we, or do we have to sell everything, pay off the debts, and then everybody walks away with nothing? Now, child support is between the two, and it's meant to get it stable. It's not to maintain the lifestyle you had when you were married. It's not fair to do that. It's both of you are saying, I can do this on my own. I don't need the other person, including their money. That's what that's for. Unfortunately, they say, well, that keeps people in the say, you know what, that's your personal choice. You should have made better choices in the first place with who you decided to procreate with. Once again, we're not going through that process either. I believe properly to vet people. Well, it wasn't my fault, they this and that. There's fault on both sides usually when it comes to divorce. Very rarely is it just one side was just blatant. You know what I'm saying? It's either lack of or never this. And I always laughed at, different people. It's like, hey, I got divorced and then I turned around and I did this and I bettered myself and I did all those other things. And then the first thing you go and you ask when you have those conversations, and I'm that person to have that conversation with them. Did you ever attempt to do that while you were still married? Make yourself feel better and your endorphins better and your body better and your health better? Well, no. Did you really try then?
Right.
And it's both sides, because there's the thing. Did you do everything possible? Because you'll notice the pattern. As soon as they get out, it's new haircut, new job. I'm all in my face and this, that, and I'm just ready to move on. And I'm just going to do all these other things. And now the courts are reversing, especially now because it's ruling more towards fathers and going back to the way it's supposed to be and not abuse of the system, because we're now in a more equal society, that those laws that are from way back when are not the same. They don't apply, because now we're in 2-family income homes. And we've even got some to where they'll turn around, well, that's okay, I'll get them for this and that, and I'm working. And then they go to court, and I've watched some of these, and I'm just like, does somebody not know the math on this? You make more than he does, and you held it over his head. So now when it comes to child support, guess who's getting hit for child support? It's not him. Unless you get full custody, which then you'll notice they come up with false accusations, or their lawyers are telling them to do this, false accusations and everything else to gain custody and child support, and they're dirty lawyers, and yet they ruined somebody's life over this shit. Instead of judge saying, listen, if you've had abuse, have you got a police report? Anything before this divorce? No? Or how soon did you have those things, complaints, and then there was divorce? Because there's got to be a pattern, and they're not even looking for the pattern. We're going with the sympathy level of things, which judges are not supposed to. It's about, if you're divorced, divide everything in half. The kids are 50-50. Work it the hell out. If not, like I said, one judge did it real good. I'm going to give her the car. Because she's all, ooh, I'm getting the car. Then I said, but here's the thing. I'm giving him the engine. Wait a minute, that car don't look so appealing now, does it? Because what good does it do?
Right, it's not going to work, right.
Get some common sense. And if we had judges dissolving marriages the way they're supposed to, it wouldn't be that big of an issue, let alone kids. Then you put them in child support, which is only for those that don't pay or don't have a contract to transition or do these other things. That's not what it was meant for, which is what the Title IV is reimbursement for them getting child support on those that don't pay. How can you not pay is their theory then if you're already in the system, which now they're just going to file it. So they're actually committing a crime. The states are committing crime under Title IV because they're collecting those funds. Because first thing, we're going to put you under a child support order. You can't. You have to let us work this out as a division of assets, as two companies dissolving, and we have to come to equitable terms, equal, under contract law. That's just the way it goes. When you favor one side or the other, now you've got a huge bias, and that's what we were seeing. Well, the women are stay-at-home moms, the women are this, and now that excuse doesn't work anymore because they put up, well, I was this and that. You should have done something different. Opportunity was in front of you. You should have bettered yourself even while in there. I heard judges even tell them, you should have bettered yourself even while you were in the marriage. Now you want him, he's been busting his ass working doubles, or it's vice versa, or whatever, working doubles, whatever the rule may be, men and women, especially nowadays. He's working doubles, and he's not going to work doubles anymore. He's going to go back to 8 hours a day, so he can spend more time with his kids now. And all of a sudden, that's a huge problem. Well, he's making less money. He needs to push himself, even if he needs to get a third job. Who are you to dictate to somebody that you're divorced to? You don't get that power anymore. Right. That's gone. And I think that bothers so many people, where you'll watch people break up, and then the other person will look like they're stepping out and stepping up, and actually like you were holding them back. And that hurts somebody. Then you get vindictive and, hateful about it. And once again, where is your thinking about the children in all this when you're feeling hated? And that's not right. The idea is, let's do this even. And we can't even come to that because we're so focused on competition and against negativity, instead of looking at the good times. Say, listen, you and I may be over, but we still got these kids to raise, and we got to figure this out. And what's best for the kids? We got to make sure they get, and let's try and make their lives as a little, even though they're going to be going back and forth between two houses, how can we make the rest of it, legit, make sure they're getting to their soccer practice or their play practice or, instrumentals or this or this. How do we make sure that that is done? And then you get the schools involved in it, especially in divorced homes, where all of a sudden little Johnny ain't doing what little Johnny does because little Johnny doesn't understand what's going on because now the kid's fucked up. And then CPS walks in and says, now we're going to pick a side because you're divorced, you're divided. And a divided is never going to stay. No. So now there's no protection. The dad's having a fit. And this happens all the time. And like I said, and it's gone both ways. I've seen in many different cases. But once again, the idea is to sort through the idea of the judge is just this simple. Sort through the bullshit and stick to the law. 50-50 is the way it is. Unless there's something else you have to do. We're not going to entertain all this other bullshit. We're here just to divide this. Well, it considers it and feeling. Get out of the feelings. Get out of the feelings, because we're not going to. I don't. Once again, this is a division. The law states this. Now, if you have something else that says it should be different from that, like you owe me money, or you owe me this or that within the balance of what was in the agreed upon, well, then that's where you got to turn around. But it's got to be equal on both. And this is the equality under the law that I think a lot of people don't understand. When you wanted equality under the law, this is where it bites a lot of people in the butt, is you get the equality under the law. The law is now going to look at both male and female and look at you and go, I don't care. You should be equal. Whether it means this or that. If you didn't better yourself or go get a job, or all you did was sit on your butt and did nothing to better yourself during that time, such as schooling, education, writing, things that would help support yourself or even go into a business for yourself, then that's on you. That's not the court's fault, and it's nobody else's fault. And that's where they're pushing towards this, because now they're pushing them. Keep in mind, you're going to have this, but if something goes bad, you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, make your own money, support your own child. The idea is not to get caught up in a system where you need food stamps, Section 8, this and this and this and that. Why? Because now you're susceptible to, you're not good enough to manage your own money and your own life. You're now not a good parent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly the way CPS looks at this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people get that. Well, my kid, like, yeah, but did you do everything the best you could to not put yourself in a situation to make you on their radar? Is there something more you could have done? And that's the other thing. Once again, that's each person going to have to take and answer that question for themselves. But a lot of times when somebody else comes in and looks and goes, why? Why didn't you take the time to do this, this, and that? Why did you take and do this and that? You know, this is all you could do. And I've seen people, the only thing they're good at is really using other people to get what they want or do. And I'm going to tell you straight away, in my experience and from my observations, that a majority of it is women using sex as a tool. And this isn't for everybody, but let's understand, this is what I'm noticing, a pattern. Not saying it's in the same case. Women using their body as a tool to obtain what they want, a sense of protection, a sense of providing, you know, pay for this or do that. I'll hook up with you, but and at the same time, it's, hey, can you take care of this for me? Can you take care of that for me? And then they get themselves into a lot of trouble. Now, I've seen this pattern, especially within those that have been in and out of the jail system, especially. The percentages are much higher.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, that's something that I don't think a lot of people take and understand, that this is how you're viewed. It's not about what I'm saying, okay, on my perception and anything else. I'm telling you, this is how the state and CPS views you. This is how you're looked at. And because why? It's because they get to form the guidelines and everything else and the parameters of what's acceptable and what's not. They're setting the bar. If you don't meet that bar, you're in their system because you're not doing it. You need our services. And that's the evaluation you guys go through. And I don't think a lot of people take and understand how that works and how we're looked at and everything else. And even though they say they don't target low-income families, they line their ass off. Yeah, it's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Well, Darren, yeah, just stick around. I think we're gonna
Yeah. Let's do it.
And kick ass. We've gone on for quite a while, but we had quite a bit to, I think, really covered that. You know, we need to look at our perception of it. It's not just that. What we are in our own homes is one thing, but how the world perceives us, sometimes you got to put on that mask in a way of, you know, or that sense about you of leave me alone and don't mess with me, which is, you know, a little introvert, yes, but then you ain't got everybody else up in your business, you know. If nobody knows what you're doing, they obviously can't turn around and get up in your business if they don't know where you're eating, where you're at, so on and so forth, because they got to know where to send CPS.
Yes,
and it's your house, the school, your kid's dojo, the whole 9 yards. I've seen people be in mixed martial arts and this, that, the kid all bruised up and all the other thing. And, oh, your kid's being abused. No, they're just in martial arts or they're in a contact sport, and they'll take those kids. That's, it's scary, guys. But we got to put a stop to this. That's why everything's important. What we're doing here and multiple other platforms, but like I said, with the reckoning movement that we have here in the tip of the spear case, it's not over with. It's just the shutdown's caught up and a bunch of other things. But we've made some major breakthroughs, and there's one thing we're going to be able to say is we're going to get the state to admit its own crimes. Walking into federal court is a breeze, which now gives us a position like no other not just to settle, but to go into the courtroom and ask those hard questions and get answers, and maybe even expose more. Because once it's on the federal record, guys, it's not a joke anymore. Then it's on the record. There's the evidence. There's the proof. And it's what you, like I said, everybody could use. And like I said, we expect by the time it hits the federal case, I expect probably millions to be in the Knoxville area for the hearing. And just in showing that love and support, because it's calling them out, because there's going to be a lot of things come out there, guys, not just for Tennessee, not just for Kentucky, but, you know, all 50 states. There's stuff that's going to get on the record, and it's going to blow your minds. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again next week. And stay safe, stay smart, stay digging, stay digging. But don't give up hope, even if you're in the midst of the in-betweens. It's a hard place to be, but be resilient, be patient, but be strong. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again next week.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.